Good morning. It's really a pleasure to be here and in a hall full of people. Like most of you, I was tired and sick of working behind the screen. But the 1.5 years also had unintended consequences. Today, for the occasion, at 6 o'clock in the morning in The Hague, I said, I will wear a suit, I will put on a suit. I could not find a single suit that I could close properly. So bear with me, I keep everything open. So my name is Pieter de Kulve. I'm Dutch, born in Twente. Actually, my old wiskunde teacher, Erik, is in the room. He's nowadays an entrepreneur. So good to be in Holland as well. Most of my life I've worked abroad. I'm going to talk about how we believe we can make money out of the tension between what is needed for the world and what the average citizen is actually wanting to do for the world. There is a gap. So it's clear that the global economy has become a climate economy. You can't open a single page, whether it's the political crisis in Syria, which in the end was a water crisis, the stresses in Africa, the stresses in India. And for companies like us, actually before the world is too hot, the world will just lack water. And when you lead the world's largest cleaning company in volume, you of course need a lot of water. And a business like ours has a lot of societal benefits, you know, cleanliness, hygiene. The world needs that, but our footprint is horrendous. When I only look at the Unilever footprint, our water consumption equals the domestic water consumption in the UK, and we give the water back not only with your dirt, but also with a lot of non-biodegradable polymers, so we don't leave the water well. Our carbon footprint is the same as the country of Hungary, end to end, which is gigantic. And then we are responsible for a huge plastic mess, because we have been very successful in emerging markets by moving from big packs to all kinds of small plastic sachets, but as there is no waste recycling, most of this stuff ends up on the streets, is burnt in gardens, or ends in the sea. Obviously, these externalities are painful. Who gave us the moral right to have so many externalities? But of course, it is also a long-term liability, because at a certain moment, consumers will get angry and stop buying our products. Or governments, which we hope will come with carbon taxes and plastic taxes, very much needed. So, and obviously, when I started working, everybody wanted to work for the Shell or the oil industry. But when I ask my kids now, do you want to work in the oil industry? You have to come with a big pitch. We don't want to end there. So we need to do something. And in the beginning, we always believed this was sort of a tax on doing business, but more and more we became believers that the intention-action gap is a huge opportunity, because most of the world believes climate change is factual and will happen. Most of the world believe that we have water issues and our rivers are too, and the oceans are not clean enough. But the reality is, we all believe it, but we actually don't do a lot. And when you look at the different countries in the world, so globally, 80% of the people believe, or 70% of the people believe that something needs to be done. It's really important, but only 20% do. In places like Southeast Asia, 80% of the people believe that it is a mess, but only 5% of the people are actually doing something. And that is the reality. We collectively are a little bit in a bubble, because most people believe we are correct, but they're not willing to adapt to their behavior. Now, we believe that there's, wait a second, we believe that this friction point between what we should do and what we're actually doing is an opportunity. But we also need to be very realistic. When we make products that are totally green and sustainable, but they cost more, and we talk now about 10% more or 15% more, or they don't clean your oven or your bathroom as good as, actually only 10% of the people will buy them. So our job is to make totally sustainable products, which we define no fossil fuels, no palm, no plastic, and totally biodegradable as the sort of light post where we want to go to. But you cannot do that. You could do it, but when you make it, you do that using conventional technology, they actually become a lot more expensive and nobody will buy them. So the beauty is a science innovation solution is needed to bridge the gap to what people say they want and what they're actually doing. We basically, for our business, have said we basically need to make 5 pivots. First is our products are way too high in carbons. We are full of surfactants, which is either fossil fuels or palm oil, and these products are just not efficient enough. And especially now with high carbon prices, they also are a liability to our economic model. Secondly, most carbon used in our industry, which is a huge global industry, is basically fossil fuels, virgin petrochemicals. And then then we have, of course, huge water usage, and we pollute the water. And that is not good. And actually a shortage of water is even worse. And then there is plastic waste, where you say, okay, increasingly, hopefully, we'll get more plastic taxes. We need to get it out. And last but not least, safety is super important. And this is also complex with new technology as we pivot from classic chemistry to bioscience. How do we make sure that there is trust in safe chemistry? Good. What did we do? Because our products need some form of carbon, but we don't want palm and we don't want fossil fuels. So first is create formulations that have much less of those, but then also explore other carbon sources, such as sea-based carbon and air capture-based carbon. Interestingly enough, the first really interesting innovation we had with air capture carbon was in China. And China, contrary to what lots of people believe, is probably the most innovative place when it comes to addressing environmental challenges. Now the world will be hit by huge cost inflation because they actually really closed down coal power stations in certain parts of China. So they really do stuff. We created our first products made with air captured carbon. We are also now very rapidly moving out of plastic. In the beginning, we were very much in consumer recycled plastic, but we have realized, it's not a sustainable chain yet. Chemical recycling is also not working perfectly yet, very carbon intensive and also has pollution problems. So we basically said, okay, let's bite the bullet. Let's take plastic out of our products. Now, and that is not that easy, because when you basically sell fossil fuel-based chemicals in big plastic bottles, this requires a lot of work. This is a product that is just coming in Europe. These are capsules, laundry capsules. Actually, the capsule itself is made from seaweed, and the carton is all made from paper. But let me get to water, because, of course, the carbon crisis leads to a water crisis, but water is incredibly important to us. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist or have a triple PhD to understand when there is no water, people cannot wash. So that is not good. But clearly, we need to make products that are much more water efficient. For an average hand wash in India, people need 5 buckets of water. When you can innovate your product and especially your rinse cycles, that people can do it with 1 bucket of water, that is solving a huge consumer pain point, because actually you help people to wash with less water. For us, the whole system is about 100% renewable and 100% biodegradable. And you know, when you heard the earlier speaker talk about polymer structure, this is a really big problem for us, because in many washing powder liquids, there's almost as much plastic in the liquid as there is in the bottle. And these are non-biodegradable plastics. And we need partnerships with the likes of yours to really change these formulations, because the technology is slowly there that this is possible. Obviously, we also need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Helping people to cope with water scarcity. A lot of our products are designed to use a lot of water. And increasingly, we use technology to create formulations and water pre-treatments to work with less and dirty water. For example, this is a product which we sell in India, where most people use river water and rather dirty well water. For washing, you mix it in, all the dirt goes to the bottom, and your whole cleaning becomes much more efficient. Now, some of the technology used for this is technology that we partner with the likes of you. Another business I'm responsible for is an in-home water purification business. You wouldn't believe it, but Unilever actually is world market leader in in-home water purification. At this moment in time, it's basically filters in combination with carbon filters in combination with RO technology, but it's not yet very, very efficient. And increasingly governments are challenging us and say, yeah, you put these machines in with very rich people, but there's so much water pollution coming from these machines that there is less water for poor people who can't afford these expensive cleaning machines. They cost $200-300. So partnership around how to improve in-house water filtration is super important. Then we are also working on systematic solutions. And that is mostly around cleaning up river systems, helping people to get plastic out of river systems, and actively lobbying for things like get the phosphates out of Indian cleaning products. Lots of partnerships, lots of coalitions, and we literally reach hundreds of millions of people with that. And finally, I would like to mention that we are moving into, or we have moved into communal washing centers. It's much more efficient to actually have a washing machine for a small neighborhood than everybody has its own washing machine in place. In Brazil, we now run 2,000 communal washing centers. Actually very interesting, because we take profit out of the total value chain, not only the chemicals. For us, it's a very valuable business, but also for consumers, it's very interesting, because compared to the integral washing cost of doing everything at home, they get it cheaper. But it also allows for better water usage. We can create much more water and energy efficient machines, but we can also clean the wastewater and use it again and again. And among that, we are also partnering with that for Wetsus. So, concluding, there is a huge gap between what people think and talk about that they want to do and what they are actually doing. And we need to be very realistic. Only very few people don't go with a plane on holiday. Only very few people only buy, vegetarian foods. Only very few people buy second-hand clothes. Most people just want to have their very comfortable life. And increasingly across the world, there are more people who want our life. We've tried to say, you need to lead a different lifestyle, which we should. It ain't working. We need technology and innovation to maintain the level of comfort that people want to have, but also to create a much more sustainable, or what did I learn, coherent economy and world. Thank you very much.